Hello, today we're gonna be talking about time methods. So time methods is something in Python. Okay, it's a different new library that we need to use. So the way how could we get how can we get date time library or to be able to edit or use time methods is we say we type from datetime we want to import datetime. So the line it goes like this: from datetime import datetime. So for example, we're gonna illustrate the order of arguments that datetime time methods can take. So first, for example, here we have the year, the month, the day, the hour, minute, and second. There is more stuff that could there's other arguments that could be there or present, but let's start with these for now. So here for example, we by using the datetime library, we created a variable called myDate. Okay, and we gave it the variable my year and my month and my date. So this will give us, as you can see here, for example, January 2nd 2017. When we run the cell after it, it gives us 2017. One is the month and two is the day. And here these are they are default to 0 because these represents the hour and minutes, and there's still other arguments that could be present. Here, if I wanna display the month, the day, the year, and what time. So here, for example, we created a new variable which is called my date time, and we made it equal to date time. I forgot to mention in the previous one is that we before putting them inside the brackets, we need to type date time before it. So pandas or Python could understand that you want to make them or change their type as datetime. So could they be readable as datetime? As we can see in the previous cell here, it says datetime.datetime. So typically you may say let's check for its type. For example, if we do this, we'll get we'll get to know the type. See, it says datetime. So this is a date time structure or kind of data. So yes, we need to. So now we're arranging it like this. First the years, obviously, then the month, day. After these three, we add the hour, the minute, and second. So as we can see, these are descending. We go in descending order. For example, for the calendar, we start by the year, then the month, and then the day. And for the time, we start by the hour, by the minute, and then by the seconds. And when we run it in the next cell, as you can see here, it's 2017 in January 2nd, hour 13, 30 minutes and 15 seconds. So this is how it's read in this case. We can grab any part of the datetime object we want. So in our case, we're gonna only manipulate this one or grab different elements from it by using my date. For example, dot day. Okay, we can change dot day for example year. Right, it will give us 2017 and so on. What about if we wanna grab an hour stamp or a minute stamp? So now we're gonna interact with my date time because it's now we have hours, minutes, and seconds inside it. So in this case, we set my date time to hour. It gave us 13 because it's our hour here that we created. If for example, I say a minute and run it, it will give me 30 because it was set to 30. If I want to grab the second and run it, it will give me 15 because the seconds was set to 15. This was our okay. So converting to data time. So this is all and good that we got an overview for datetime for the date and time library. But what if we want to convert it from like normal numbers to for pandas to actually understand that this is or normal string, so pandas could understand that this is a datetime object or type, not a string, not a float or anything else. So how are we supposed to do this? Often when data sets are stored, the time component may be a string. This proves what I was saying a few minutes ago. So pandas easily convert strings to datetime objects. And how are we supposed to do this? So the first thing we're supposed to do is obviously import pandas because we're gonna be using pandas. And for example, let's start with this. My series. Okay, we created a variable called my series, and inside it we give it this. Okay, we created a series that's consisting of 3 elements or 3 values. Okay, so but if we check for the length, for example, if I ask for the length, it will give me 3 because there is 3 commas that are separating them. As we can see here, it says 3. So yes, when we passed it through PD series, it made it a series because it's just 1 column and there is some values inside it. So normal grabbing, where if we type my series bracket 0 and put index 0, it will grab our first row, and so on. If we put 1, for example, it will also grab the first row for us. If I put 2 inside, 2 inside of it, it will return to us none. But we don't really need this, so let's go back to 0. So here it's only read as a string because we did not do any converting. So how are we supposed to do this? We do that by doing this. So the correct code to use is we need to type pd.to_datetime, and then we pass the variable that we want to convert, or the data frame that we want to convert, or the specific column that we want to convert in that data frame. So now, as we can see, the d type, or at the beginning the d type was an object, but after we did this this code and we passed my series inside to underscore date time, it turned the d type into date time, as we can see here. So if we grab the first row, as we can see here by rewriting this, it actually this time tells us it's a timestamp. So, and these zeros indicate here the hours, the minutes and seconds. So yes, so there's a big difference between this code and this code, because this is only represented as a string or as a string type, and this is represented as a timestamp. So there's a big difference between each of them. So now there's this issue. It's not really an issue, but something that we need to take a note of is the date time. If I'm not mistaken, the date time library was created by an American developer or an American programmer. So there is obvious, as most of you know, or everyone is supposed to know, that there is a difference between the European calendar or European date, as you may say, or the American date, because in the European date, when we write it out, for example, let's add a markdown here. We write it, for example, we want to say the 24th, okay, of, for example, let's say February 2021. This is how it's supposed to be written in European date. But for Americans, they write it this way. They write the month first, then they write the date, and at last they type in the month, the year. Sorry. So this could create problems. But in this case, it's not really it's not really visible, because there is no month there is no 24 months. So Pandas is smart enough to understand this, so you won't fall for any issues. Let me continue and we will see an example later on. So yes, for example, here I named the variable as obvious year date, okay, and it's the 31st of December in the year 2000. When we pass it through to inside _date time, it tells us warning praising dates in DD YYY. So this simply means the date and then the month and the year format when they first equal false. The default was specified. This may lead to inconsistency. Praise date. Specify a format to ensure consistent phrasing. So later on I will explain this. So yes, because Pandas is smart, it understands that this is a European date and doesn't really do a problem. But it's better if we tackle this problem and not face errors in the future. So there is a way around it. So for example, as I was saying, Pandas doesn't really understand if, for example, you give it a date like this. Okay, so it wouldn't be sure if you meant if you meant a European format or American format. So it doesn't really understand if it's either the 10th of December or the 12th of October. So we may need to tell Pandas, and how do we do that? Is by doing this. So we tell it to we add while writing our code, we just say day first equal true. I think this is self-explanatory because it just says it is the meaning of itself, if you know what I mean. It's simply explaining itself. It's saying that the day is first and not the month, like the American way of writing date. So custom string for time string format. There is also other ways to write a date. For example, we have style date 12 _ December _ 2000. When we put it or pass it to _date time, style date, we pass our variable name that we wanna change, and there is something additional called format. For the format, it's just saying that that 12 is the date and B is the month, but it's in letters, and Y stands for Y. To understand this more, you can open this document and read it fully. But Pandas is smart enough to understand that we're trying to say the 12th of December in the year 2000. There is another way. For example, we have a variable called strange date, which is equal to 12th of December 2000. Pandas is also smart enough to understand what we mean over here, so it doesn't have any problem with us specifying anything. For example, if we have a data frame and we wanna change it from, for example, let's say here the date is consisted of a string, or for example, let's say a float or an integer or any other type than date time. How are we supposed to do it? First, this is our file that we're gonna work with, so we're reading a CSV file and we named it sales. So this is the data. If for example we want to grab the first row here in date, so when we grabbed it and checked for the type, it says str. So this is not convenient for us. So how are we supposed to change it? It's simply by doing this. We call sales the sales file, and we specify that we want the date column, and we make it equal to pd dot to date time sales, and we specify that we're doing this to the date column. So pandas will understand what we want, and when we do the same thing again, it will understand that it's a timestamp and not a normal string. This is also testing it again, and as we can see here, it says timestamp. Create date ekanda. There is also, we can resample. A common operation with time series data is resampling based on the time series index. That's how, let's see how to use the resample method. To index, reset index to index, sales equals sales set to index. So here we just set the date column into our index so we can understand our data more. When calling .resample, you first need to pass the role parameter. When you need to call some sort of aggregation, the role parameter. This is not really important. So yes, it's not important for us at the moment. Once some column or index is in a time format, you can call a variety of methods of the DT library inside pandas. So we're resetting the index, so it's 2 columns now. And for example here, we're asking help what it does. So for example, this is like the text methods that we took previously. We're just typing, for example, .dt. For example, this could be changed into years, months, hours, seconds, anything, so we can understand or have an idea of what we're doing. We can also call is leap year, or ask if it's a leap year, and it will return true or false according to it will return true if it's a leap year and return false if it's not. So this is time methods. Thank you.